Hey YouTube, this is going to be a review on Invincible's season 3 episodes 1 to 3. So far I've only watched episode 1 and it's not like the greatest episode in the world, but I did like it. By the way, I am a comic fan, so I have read all the comics and all that. And it was really cool to see other superheroes who weren't like necessarily like named characters or anything. It's kind of tragic because it doesn't seem like we're going to see I can't remember their names exactly, but like Spawn from the comics and like the Wolf Group and all the Captain Britain, all these stuff, all these other superheroes. It doesn't seem like we're going to see them. I wonder though if we're going to see the second Guardians of the Globe group later on in the series. I don't know. I think we saw one of them, like an Australian girl or something. This is just if you're like a really big comic fan, then you kind of know. But anyway, so yeah, I did like this episode. We got to see some Oliver stuff. I really liked when Oliver was like trying to sneak out, and then he sees his mom, he sees Deborah, and then he's like, "Oh crap!" Like, because like realistically, he could just fly off, and like, what is she gonna do, right? And like, he could just like never return home and like live off what like live off crabs or just any other type of food, right? And like never return home, and she can't punish him, right? Like, so it's kind of funny there. And then obviously we have like the whole Cecil and Deborah storyline kind of ramping up too, which has been built up since maybe even season one, if I'm remembering correctly. Probably season two though, maybe not exactly season one, right? And I really do love how Deborah likes, she does love Oliver too, even though Oliver isn't technically her son, but I really like that storyline for Deborah, and I really do like how they're doing more with her in the comics, or sorry, in the show they did the comics. But even in the comics in this storyline, they did do quite a bit with her as well, right? And then we just have lots of Mark talking about Eve and like what should I do and everything, and like oh crap, like he literally like has the like all he has to do is just ask her out, right? Like he literally like and she's gonna immediately say yes, and like that's what Rick and what's his I can't remember his name, but that's what those two his friends should William Rick and William should have said. They should have said like Mark, all you have to do is just ask her out. She's instantly gonna say yes. Like of course she is. And then he's just like I don't know. He like second guessing like I don't know. It's a little kind of comedic and just like how he's standing or floating out there, and then she's like, hey, like are you gonna come in or float out there? And then of course he tells her about the what the future Eve and like the other world said, and then he obviously gets mad because Mark's an idiot. Why did he say that? I guess because he wants to be honest and everything. But yeah, um, yeah. This episode wasn't the greatest episode in the world, but it was interesting. Obviously, we got some Rexpo stuff. We got to see the two twins from the future in this episode, and we got to see duplicate again and multi-paul, which is pretty cool. That's probably a big reveal for just show only fans, and I'm pretty sure they're doing it kind of early too. I don't remember them doing it this early in the comics, but yeah. Um, and also, Kate and Immortal are engaged right now because they're not married yet, right? So yeah, they're engaged. And one thing though, I wish we got because so Ray returns, she survives, which it's like, come on, I think we should get some deaths. Like she should have died. I think she should have stayed dead. But it is what it is. And then we got the fight at the end, which was a little. I think at first when Eve and Mark just go down there, they should have immediately tried to like um make the other superheroes like free, like try to open up those like bubble wrap things or whatever they were, those bubble egg things. They should have immediately tried to do that, and then the Doc Seismic stop them. Um, I don't know why they just like because instantly that would be my first thought. Like, okay, let's free these other superheroes, and then they can help us, right? Or free them, or like try to screw the worm things or whatever. Let's just take out Doc Seismic instantly, which they could have done as well. But no, they just start fighting, and like I think that should have been at least their plan, and then they get stopped because I think that's the smartest thing to do. But anyways, it's fine. I'm gonna end it off here because I also obviously got the other two episodes to review and to watch as well. Episode two is a much better episode than episode one. Not that episode one was bad in any way, but I really did like episode two. I was surprised that we got the Cecil backstory. I'm pretty sure that's not in the normal comic run. The Cecil backstory. I'm pretty sure that's in like a spin-off comic type thing, like a short one-off. And I was surprised we got that, and it was pretty cool. And we even got more to it too, because I'm pretty sure the whole jail thing and him kind of becoming like Kingpin in jail, that wasn't part of the comics or at all. So I'm pretty sure that's the whole thing is new, and that's kind of cool. Even though we didn't really see how that worked out, it was still kind of cool to see that. And then him obviously becoming the leader of the GDA, and then yeah, that was all pretty cool, and I really did like the, then we get the whole, then Mark actually fighting him, or not necessarily fighting him, but fighting the Reaniman, and then we got the reveal about the whole earpiece and everything, and him getting hurt, and that was all pretty much like exactly like the comics. And then obviously he goes to the Guardians of the Globe, and there's all that, and then they kind of like, some of them side with Mark, some of them don't side with Mark. Very cool now. And then we get the later on the whole thing with Rudy being like, I might need Mark in the future, his help in the future. So that's, I'm not gonna spoil anything if you don't know the comics, but that's pretty interesting there. I do like that. And what else do we got? We got like a kind of like a conflict between Ray and duplicate or multi or duplicate, which is a little interesting because Ray, honestly, it's kind of funny though, because Ray probably could have taken out the earpiece, by herself too, right? She could have probably like shrunken into Mark's ear and whatever. But it's kind of interesting because they're giving Ray something to do. And by the way, if you don't know, Ray in the comics was actually a male, but yeah, they're giving Ray something to do, which is a little interesting. Not something to do necessarily, but just a little more bit of a storyline. And I wonder if they're gonna do that storyline that they have in the comics with Bulletproof. I wonder if they're gonna do that. And like, cause I wonder, cause again, in the comics they kind of like branch off into these other characters sometimes, and I wonder, if they're actually gonna do that, or if they're gonna mostly keep with Mark's storyline, with Mark's point of view, which I feel like they still might go into other branching off storylines, just because we have the whole thing with Eve, right, and like the whole her trying to be an architect, or not necessarily trying to be an architect, just trying to learn architecture so she can make better buildings and all that, right? Because in season two, she was like trying to make buildings and they kept falling apart and stuff, and that stuff isn't in the comics. Obviously, in the comics, we do have like her trying to like, she goes to like Africa and all these places and tries to like give them food and water and everything. We have that, but we don't necessarily have like this whole architect storyline and her going to school for that too. So that's very interesting. And then yeah, at the very end, obviously, Eve and Mark, end up he's saying like, okay, yeah, we're dating, and then we just have like the general consent, like meaning of this episode, purpose for this episode is basically to put that divide between Mark and Cecil, which is really cool. One of my favorite parts of the comics, and it leads into so much more cool stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna end off episode two here. The Muller twins really are Robert Kirkman's like in Invincible anyway, like really most original characters, I think, just because like, Mark is like typical kind of Superman in a sense, right, and then Eve like all the powers that the superheroes kind of have, they're not like new unique powers for the most part. Maybe there's a few um that I'm misremembering or something, but the Marvel twins are just really unique in the sense of like they're clones, right? And they're always arguing about who's the original and everything, and like they work best when they don't know who's the original. Like that's a very unique idea. And yeah, and in the comics I was like really surprised when they died, right? And that was like issue 60 something, right? Like kind of like not super late in the comic run, but like, not super early, right? And I feel like season three kind of feels like super early at the same time in a sense, like, you know, for all this to be happening. But it is what it is, right? So obviously Oliver kills them, and Oliver says like, like, oh well, we killed them so then they don't have to kill other people, like we stop them from killing other people, right? And like in a way he kind of is right, but then but then when you like start asking questions, it's like, okay, then what's the point of even saving anybody in the first place if you genuinely don't care um about the lives of people, right? If like everybody's life is insignificant, then why are you even like fighting these bad guys in the first place? Why not just let them kill people, right? So yeah. Anyway, and obviously we got Angstrom Levy back and all that, right? The one thing though is the blue suit. So in the comics, the blue suit looked super cool. It was like sparkly, kind of like not actually sparkly, not literally sparkly, but it was just super cool, right? And then in the show, I don't know, it's kind of looks plain. Like I don't really know how to describe it. It just kind of looks like boring and like not shiny. And but in the comics, it looks super. Like every single panel you saw the blue suit on, it looks super cool. And the show is just super. It's super boring. That's one thing I don't really like, and I don't really know why that is. Maybe it's just because of the lighting or something. I don't know. Because the comics maybe they make it like much brighter and everything. I really don't know. But it just doesn't look as cool as it did in the comics, which kind of sucks. Um, yeah, I really, because I don't know, I really liked it. I don't want to go too much on about that. And yeah, I do like this whole Eve stuff. Obviously, we got the Debbie and Paul storyline as well, which is pretty interesting. Because Debbie just immediately says like, "Hey, yo," well, not immediately, but says like, "Yeah, my son is a superhero," and all that. Reveals all that, and not a lot happens in this episode, to be honest. I guess the biggest things are just really Oliver wanting to become a superhero, and then killing the Mauler twins. That's really it. And then, of course, the whole Angston leaving stuff, but not a lot really happens. But I really did like episodes 2 and 3. Episode 1 was, I think it's better than okay, but it's not like, spectacular or anything. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Subscribe, like for more, and bye. Peace out.